Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing good. Friday, feeling good. Nice in Pennsylvania. I can't complain.
Hey, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah. How about you?
Good. Having a bit of allergies, but
Yeah,
nothing
you can
that
hear it.
nothing
You
that a
hear
little
it.
medicine can help with in a sec. I'll probably take some like Claritin or something after this.
Get clarity and clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Graham.
Hey guys.
Hey.
All right. So thank you everybody for being available. Today I'm going to use this as like the start of kickstarting like our mini training sessions. And I was thinking about where to start with this. And at first I was thinking robots text or maybe an XML sitemap, but if I had to give one lesson on SEO, if I had like 45 minutes to tell somebody everything I possibly could, there would be no SEO conversation without Google Search Console somehow touching that conversation. It is by far one of the most powerful tools that an SEO person has in their tool set. Yes, there is SEMrush, there is Screaming Frog, there's other tools like Sitebulb and Moz will even crawl your site, but nothing compares to Google's own data. Even SEMrush, all the keyword data that they have in their databases only accounts for like less than 1%, less than half of 1% of actual search traffic that's going on. So getting data directly from Google is extremely advantageous if you have it. So that makes it important. And, it's not always something that's remembered. David, you remember when I first came on board and we were looking at the sites, could you remember how many sites didn't have a Google Search Console or we
Oh,
didn't know what it
practically
was?
all of them.
Practically all of them.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to start the conversation with that because the other day there's two restaurants within a half a block of my house. One's an Irish pub, one's like American fine dining. I've done both of their websites for years because I like to go up there and I know the owners. They're super cool. I get like preferred treatment, so I love it. But the fine dining restaurant, he changed his menu, his whole website about a month and a half ago, and it's a WordPress site. It's really straightforward. I updated the menu. He changed his URLs. I had to migrate it and update URLs, go through all the stuff. And when I was done, I was like, man, this was a lot of work. And I came back the next day and I'm like thinking about the migration. I was like, oh my God, I did not connect Google Search Console to that new URL. And it's because there's so many things going on when you're launching a website, especially if you're doing like a M1, M2 migration or just whatever it may be. There's so many different things going on behind the scenes that developers often don't think, hey, I should connect Google Search Console. And the clients themselves don't know it because a lot of them don't even know what it is. They're familiar with Google Analytics, definitely. Most people are familiar with Google Analytics, but Search Console, they're not familiar with. So I can't fault anybody for not going and putting it on there because I did the same thing myself. So, let's get into it. So let's say I have that website and I want to go and apply it, or connect it to Google Search Console.
Yeah.
I would do that by going to add property. And our first touch point on Google Search Console is going to be how you actually verify the site. So here we see two options. There's domain and URL prefix. So as I always remembered back in the day when I was configuring Google Analytics, typically I would have to enter a line of code in the meta head section, a meta tag in the head section that had their site identification code. I'm sure you guys have seen those in the various source codes when we looked at those before.
Yeah.
That's one way of verifying a site, but that's only verifying it at a URL level. So what happened is, let's say I was owner of a large Magento store and I own my domain and I have my hosting account. My web guys are doing stuff I don't even know. They go and delete the tag that I had associated with it. And now when I go into Google Search Console, I can no longer see that information. That was becoming a problem. So what they did a couple years ago is they added the domain of verification method. So if I were that busy site owner and I wanted to make sure I absolutely didn't lose my connection to Google Search Console, I can put a TXT record, text record in their DNS, and that will then tell Google, hey, this is the true owner of the account. And then at any level, whether it's a subdomain, blog.thinoptics.com or http thinoptics.com or https thinoptics or www or non, you can verify all the versions. So we do that for best practices for a couple reasons. One, it absolutely allows you to catch all the different things that are happening at the different levels. Let's say our Magento store is definitely HTTPS, thinoptics.com. But let's say we get a really juicy link from the New York Times and they're linking to HTTP thinoptics.com. You might not know about that unless you have that URL specifically verified. Technically, it should come through if you have it verified at the domain level, but it doesn't always happen that way. There's also tools that can only be used at the URL level. We saw that yesterday with the disavow tool. We could not upload a disavow file to the domain verified Google Search Console account. So there's a number of reasons why you'd want to go through the steps of verifying, let's just say for the sake of this conversation, all 5. So what do I mean by all 5? I just did Vapecraft a couple minutes ago. I had David Hung add a text record. Bill from Vapecraft, I can tell he is not savvy in digital marketing. He doesn't know what Google Search Console is and basic things. No problem. That's why he has us. But I know that in order to get the core Web Vitals reports and all the information that tells me what's really wrong with their site, I'm going to need to have that verified. So I reached out to David. He added a text record. I was then able to go through and I verified Vapecraft at the domain level 1, HTTP 2, HTTPS 3, HTTP dub 4, and then finally HTTPS www 5. All 5 versions of the URL. So with that said, this is a freshly configured account. And if you notice, there's no information in here. Typically, Google Search Console needs at least 30 days of data to populate their reports. So once again, reason why I jumped on this now is I need that 30 days to happen so I can, get insightful data to Vapecraft. So, with that said, I can still find certain things, but, do that process early. This is why it's typically one of the first steps, is because you want Google Search Console to start accruing data right away. And that, the faster you can implement it, the faster you can know about any potential technical concerns. So with that said, any questions so far on Google Search Console itself and how to verify URL?
Even though it's taking the 30 days to populate the data, can we do anything with it within those 30 days? Or are we just kind of in a holding pattern until those 30 days are done?
I'm looking at this right now, and I think we're in a holding pattern. Let's go through and take a look. We're going to take a look right now. So if I go to URL inspection, nothing in the coverage report. Okay, we do have stuff on the sitemaps. This is interesting. Why is this HTTP one? And that was crawled, but the other one wasn't. So we do have a little bit of info. See if there's any removals. Where are they at with page experience? No data. That's one that needs data. Core Web Vitals is another one that needs data. Are there any security issues? Do you ever have a manual penalty? So we'll get to that. But to answer your question, Graham, there's very little that you can get unless you have that 30-day time period.
Gotcha.
Now, there's other ways we could find out what's going wrong. Like, we've audited so many Magento stores. I'm pretty sure David O and I could just rack off like the typical things that you see in a store. And that's what we'll look for when we do a light audit, or if we don't have access to Google Search Console, we kind of know what to look for and can find it in Google Search itself. So let's take a look at a property that has a good amount of data behind it. And I think I'm going to pick Anthem Sports for this one. Oh, I don't have all 5 versions of the property, but for the sake of this discussion, let's use Canvasback. They're a very close client of ours. Let's use them as the example. Now, right now I'm going in at the domain level. Let's just take a look at this overview screen. So we're looking at the performance report. Guys, out of everything that I know with Google Analytics, this is the one tab that I need to bone up my knowledge. I know what this is about, but it doesn't truly relate to technical SEO. And let's just start there and take a look at it. So performance report. Okay. This is giving me clicks, impressions, click-through rate, CTR, and average position. So the average position is where they're at in Google search. So right now, on average, across the board for the last 3 months, they've had about 20,000 clicks, 500,000 impressions, average click-through rate of 3.4%, and their average position in Google search is 20th, which is at the end of page 2. So if there's 10 results per page, they're on page 2. So this can provide information. So, and the way you click these together is that's an art in itself. Like using date ranges, and say I want to look at clicks. I'm just going to do this for the sake of conversation. Clicks versus average position. So I have these two on, and I think obviously to me, position would relate to like where I'm at on search. So here on position 1, canvasback cargo liner at 2,087 clicks. Their position 1 for canvasback forerunner. See, one thing I would do here is I wonder if I can filter this. So, because what I want to get rid of is I don't care about branded terms. Like these are their top queries, but canvasback is going to be a slam dunk. I want to see where they're going to be for like, is these all branded? Forerunner, canvasback.
Well, shouldn't we filter by the lowest and then work our way up? Because the lowest would be less likely to have canvasback in it.
Yeah, there's usually ways you can filter. So if I can come in here and say, what is this? The query? Queries containing, queries not containing canvasback. If I apply this, see, we take away their own branded terms. Now we see that average position actually goes up to page 3 and way less clicks. So what insight did we just gain from this? Well, I spilled a huge cup of water all over my get for working out of a house like this, but okay. So, but what did I look at this? A lot of their traffic is branded terms. People are typing in canvasback. So what does that tell me? We need to focus on non-branded terms like forerunner canvas liners, forerunner liners, things like that. Just by looking at these 2 clicks, and removing that, we already gleaned a very insightful piece of data. So there's so many ways you can go through this. You can do it by pages. And what do they do again? Is it pages with clicks and position? Yeah. So how you stack these on top of each other, you can find a lot of different things. I need to learn more about this, and it's something that I definitely have on my radar for 2022.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
With like, how do we? So canvasback obviously has a lot of other big name brands like Toyota and Ford and GMC and all these big car companies. But like, how do we get our SEO to be competitive with those types of brands? Because like, if I type in whatever, like Toyota liners, wouldn't I get a lot of Toyota brands like in SEO? So like, how do we keep that?
I see what you're saying, Graham. For the sake of this conversation, though, what you're asking is kind of running before we walk. So gotcha. I want to get through the technical. I'm glad that you're already thinking like that, because that's what we want. You know what I mean? Like we want inquisitivity. Is it even a word? We want inquisitive people that are going to ask those questions. Is that a word, David, or is that just?
I don't know.
But you know what I mean. Like you want.
No, I understand. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to dodge your answer. It's just I want it. Like you'll hear me say this time and time and again. You got to get the technical right before you get to those type of questions, because you could optimize for keywords all day and not rank because things we find here are so wrong. So. Yep. But hold that thought. We can use that. Like I always say, bring questions to the table. If you could write that down, we'll come back to that and answer that question, because that's a good one. I see where you're going.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. 1 second. I'm cleaning up the spill a little bit, or at least putting some towels down so I don't get completely yelled at later. Okay. So performance tab. So that's what we were looking at. So we're in an overview. They're giving you an overview, performance overview. There's your, let's scroll down, your coverage overview, experience, enhancements. we'll go through these. And also insights. This is a new section. I'll click on this first. Google, looking at your account and everything, will give you these mini insights. And it's a new feature, but I don't know how useful this really is, but I'll just show it. Some new content that's getting sticky. That's pretty helpful, I guess. Your most popular content, how people are finding you. Look at that. Even with all that said, organic search is their top driver. So what does that tell us, guys? The more money they put into organic search, the more money they're going to make through their store. So that's their highest converting channel, you know?
And organic search is like me just being a normal user searching.
Putting in canvas
back.
liners for your forerunner, you know, and like canvas back comes up.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess this is a little bit of insightful Google search. We should probably read through these more. You know, this is telling us that they're in the top 5 for these. Once again, just for the sake of this discussion, and we'll get into this, it's easy to rank for branded terms. You know, if you put in Crimson Agility, Magento, you're going to find our site all day long. You know, it's just, so having the brand in there is kind of like easy kill, but it also is interesting that that's what people are typing in, which means they are a memorable brand that people know. So, or they're at least see it and they're interested in, So a lot to glean from here, but I want to stick to the technical side for now. But they are showing us some links. This is good to know. Getting a link from keyatelluride.org. That's pretty big. Jeep Wrangler forums. See, they got a lot of strong links that also bring them traffic. So, but what's interesting about this, links to a 404 page. So they're getting a link from J Wrangler forums and it's actually taking people to a 404 page. We got to get in there and immediately fix that. So
that's huge.
we gotta somehow get on these insights, David, because I get sent these, but they're not consistent, or I don't know what's going on. They don't come through all the time.
Yeah.
Do you ever see these?
No, I was gonna
right?
say, I don't think I've dug into this much since I've been managing like the newsletter and stuff like that.
Yeah. But you know, this link report, let's just see what when we click on this, what happens? Jeep Wrangler forums. Does it take us to the actual page?
Well, could we actually do anything about that? Because
we can go and make a redirect. Let's say it's to a page.
Okay, gotcha.
Graham, perfect question. Let's say it's to a product they no longer have in stock. This is the importance of having redirects on products that are no longer in stock. Let's say you get a juicy link from Jeep Wrangler forum. You know, you don't want that just to land on a 404. If anything, you can have that 404 link redirect to a link that works and keep that link juice.
Gotcha.
So,
okay, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah. I got to close out of some of these tabs. I got too much going on. I got to get a faster computer.
Same.
I've been saying that, but I kind of want a laptop. Like, I don't know if I want to be bound to a desktop.
Sometimes when you're screen sharing too, it just takes up a lot.
It just crunches. Yeah. Let me do some other things here. Need that going. Need this going. Need it going too. Okay. So if I go back to overview, okay. So performance, coverage, experience. So let's take a look at this URL inspection. I'm just going down the list on the side. Man, it is really acting funny because of this share. I need this to go though. Huh. What is going on there? Huh.
Could you open another tab maybe? I don't know. But
it like won't even let me click on it. Let me do one more thing. Okay. You know, it's going up here to this top thing. This is a tool where you can put in a specific URL and get back information on that specific URL itself. So let's just take a look.
cool.
Another feature that I'm not using too much, which is, this is interesting. This page is not in their index. It's a way to test things like that. I would typically go site : and find this in Google. A lot of people don't know about advanced search operators, so they don't know to search that way. But I can put in a URL and request indexing. So where this would be helpful is if you have a blog post. We have used this before. For Warner Tech Care, Zach went in and put every one of the brand pages in here and requested that they crawl it for Warner Tech Care. So if you have a small website, 50 pages or less, you don't even need an XML sitemap. You can actually submit all 50 URLs through this tool and then, request indexing. The best practice is include an XML sitemap, especially for the size of sites that we're dealing with, but just putting that out there that you can request them to index URLs through this tool. Yeah. This is the one that I use the most. Since I'm talking about technical SEO, I live in this report. So I'm going to go through them all. Errors, this is 500 errors. This is a URL blocked by robots. If I click on it, it'll tell me the URL. That's a Magento generated URL that shouldn't technically exist. If we click on it, what happens? Yeah, that needs a redirect. That's actually a product. So once again, that tells me that there's Magento generated URLs. So that's a big issue with SEO. We can find that right off the bat there. If we go back, 404 errors. I click on these and test these because a lot of times they're not true 404s. When they crawled, they might have got a 404, but chances are if I go and do it, it works. So you can't trust these reports 100%. Before I alert a client or put a task in a smart sheet, I test it myself. And that's why, for what you just saw. That's errors. These two are the ones where you really find everything. Errors, you definitely want to take care of, but like the true technical issues that are hard to figure out are going to be in here. So valid with warning. So this says the page was indexed without content. I rarely see this, but let's see what they're referring to. Okay, right away, this index.php, that's a whole issue with the site, but I'll get into that in another screen. But does this have content? Yes, it does. So I don't know why they said that. Maybe because, well, is it still loading? Okay. It's rather slow loading. I wonder if that's why they said that. But, this page works. I see content on there. So I'm not sure about that one. But if I go back over to valid with warning, index, though blocked by robots, 635 pages. These are probably going to be okay. So what happened is somehow in the last 3 months, there were 9 pages on the Canvasback website that in the privacy policy link at the bottom, it did not reference canvasback.com/privacy policy. It said canvasback.com/index.php/privacy policy. For the way their website is set up, that index.php link will work, but it should be a redirect. It shouldn't actually work. It was like something wrong with their Magento instance. So Google picked up 600 some of these. Now there's some catalog searches in here, but I think we already made that update on their page. So I'll click on it, see the catalog search in the URL, and I'm going to right click, go to view page source. Okay. No index, no follow. Okay, that's not a concern. They'll eventually see that and kick it out of the results. But all these index.phps that work, that are index.php, catalog, product, gallery ID, these should not be indexed. And the only way that we're going to really be able to get them out is to write a redirect, which I don't think we can do because it's part of a product page, is to set this up to no index, no follow. So I would never know that unless I went into this index, though blocked by robots. You'll usually find catalog search pages in here. Oh, whoa, it's David calling? Hey, David, how's it going? I'll just let him know real quick. Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm actually on a training session with David and Graham. Or I can just give you a call as soon as I'm done. I want to make sure if there wasn't anything super urgent or just want to check. Okay. No problem. Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Alrighty. Cool. So can you guys still see my screen and everything?
Yes.
Any questions so far? So I know I've been deep diving on this coverage report. That's because I wanted to start with the technical side, and the technical discussion would not be one without Google Search Console. So Graham, David, I'm sure you're probably familiar with this by now. We've looked at these reports together and seen customer pages. Yeah. Like
I had to step away to use the restroom, but
okay.
yeah, I believe I'm good.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
So it's a warning. So like just like when Magento sends warnings, like we have to look out for it, but there's nothing that we are doing. Is there something we do about these? Like are warnings on Search Console like very important that we need to be keeping, you know what I mean? So
here's the issue with this, Graham. If I go like this URL works. If I take this out, wait. It still works. So they're going to flag this as duplicate content. So that can be a problem. Plus, this is just now you have two pages competing for the same space. So to clean things up, which is what technical SEO is all about, cleaning things up, dialing in, this should really have a redirect. This URL should have never existed, but it did for whatever reason. That mistake. So I just want to let you know that there were 9 pages that had a wonky URL that had index.php. Just from that being on the site for a couple of weeks, they ended up crawling and indexing 635 pages that they should not have. So like so redirect would need to be created, but I would have never known that unless I had this report. I could have fished around in Google search results and maybe stumbled across it, but I can go right here and just get it. So valid with warning is a good one. The other one that's very key is valid, but both ways. So let's say something's not blocked by robots and it is a valid page. There's 2 ways to look at it. Submitted an index, which means you submitted it in the XML sitemap. Any of the links here have been indexed and are in the XML sitemap. All the URLs here are indexed, but they are not in that sitemap, which would lead me to wonder why. So come in here, catalog, product, gallery, image ID. Okay, this is the product we were looking at earlier. And I have a task on a smart sheet that I reported this. You know, these need to be set up with no index, no follow. We can't create a redirect because it actually is the image for some product. You know, so we can't just go and like redirect this so this doesn't work. Like that means that image gallery would never work properly. So, but it needs the image gallery pages, catalog, product, gallery, image, these pages all need to be set to no index, no follow. So I found that in here. You know, this would concern me. How is this indexed but not in the sitemap? Jeep, chair seat, console cover. What is this all about? Okay, well, it actually redirects to a different URL. So that's not even a valid URL. It is. It's not in the sitemap. I don't know how they got to it. This is very interesting. Like, where did that come from? Jeep Cherokee console cover, but it actually forwards to this. You know, I might want to take a closer look at that and see if a link was improperly set up, or maybe somebody linked this product from another page the wrong way and Google's picking it up. Oh, canvas back, additional products, accessory, door cover. Let's take a look at this.
And we resolve this by just making these pages no index, no follow. Is that what we're saying?
So for this one, I don't know why this is here. Why this would be indexed and not submitted. So if I go to doorcover.html, I would search this in their XML sitemap and see why. Maybe there's a reason why, like I don't know why this would not be in there. And it's going to take me a while to bring up their XML sitemap. But not to get too far down a rabbit hole, these are the tools that you really do to deep dive to find out the specific technical issues with Magento. There's more I want to cover here, so I want to keep going. But coverage report, huge for what we're doing right now. Sitemaps, this is also huge. This is going to tell us their status. You know, we can see 2 here couldn't be fetched since years ago, but the regular one was crawled on the 16th. Now, that's interesting because the 16th was a week ago. They haven't come back since then. I would hope they come back and crawl the site soon. This is something that it says is successful, but it's been over a week since they came back, so I'm concerned about that.
And that's on Google's end, correct?
That's on Google's end, yeah. But what we want to make sure, Graham, is like, is the XML sitemap working? Like it said success there, but for whatever reason, is that not right? Like sitemap. Okay, it's working. And sitemap XML. Okay. So if I would come back here Monday and they still haven't crawled, I would start to get really concerned. But
Gotcha.
would never know about this without this tool.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Removals. If I didn't know how to no index, no follow, you could request them to remove it. They don't really do it. They're going to tell you to update your meta robots. Sometimes it can work through here. I rarely use this because we have developers that do stuff the right way. I don't really know a lot of instances where this is really used that much, but it's there. Another important one, page experience. I don't spend a lot of time in this particular report, but it will tell you where you're at with page experience update. So not sure what was going on here, but like there were no good years, total impressions of good URL. Now it's like, okay, there's some good URLs. Core web vitals, mobile usability, HTTPS. What I really focus on for now is not so much in here, but this screen is starting to become clutch. I just figured this out last night that if you come into mobile and right away split out by desktop and mobile. Well, just so you guys know, right now, Google is only really coming at Core Web Vitals from a mobile aspect. They're going to be rolling out the desktop updates to search in June of this year. So right now, the mobile version is the most important Core Web Vitals aspect. If I open this up, this starts to give me really insightful information. Okay, they don't have any poor URLs. That's good. Which ones need improvement? Okay, so right here on mobile, I can see that I need to fix 2 things primarily, really one thing primarily, largest contentful paint. And I can tell by clicking on this URL that the product template is the culprit. So canvas back products, Toyota 400. Let's open this up. This should most likely be a product page. So what this would tell me from this report, that if we go into the mobile version of the site and address the largest contentful paint issues, which see if they'll tell us what they are. So we'll go like this. You can now test, use page speed insights and take a look. I'll run through this real quick because they'll actually tell you for that site what you need to fix. So I think Google Search Console is one of the missing elements from our Core Web Vitals assessment. We haven't been going into Search Console and seeing what templates were affected specifically. So I'm actually typing up an email to the team today that relays this info. And I think it's going to end up being a situation where on our side, we're going to have to really do the homework on Core Web Vitals and come in here and say, okay, this failed. All right, well, I know I need to fix first contentful paint. All right. So in here, it'll tell you, okay, first contentful paint. Both of these are wildly out of control. Now, this is probably going to break, but what I can do is, we were talking about LCP. I can click on this, and then it now tells me all the things related just to that. Did it change? Yeah. So eliminate render blocking resources, reduce Java, reduce CSS. I mean, this is where you would start. I would think if I was a developer and I was like, okay, I need to make Canvas back faster on mobile. Well, I would try to eliminate these render blocking resources and reduce unused CSS and JavaScript. So I think this is going to be super helpful moving forward. And you get this information from Google themselves, since they are the authority, they're the ones throwing down the rules saying, hey guys, you need to, make sure you fit these certain criteria. I think they're providing us with more than we realize. So wanted to share that. And finally, mobile usability. They have a whole mobile tab. Mobile's been a huge issue with SEO. People just don't get the mobile version right. They don't do responsive sites right. So it throws up a lot of errors. And we all know that Google is mobile first indexing. So because everybody's on a phone, when they crawl your site, they do it from a mobile aspect first and then come back and crawl it from a desktop aspect. So it makes the mobile version so important. And what's going on in here with Canvas Pack? Let's just take a see, take a look. All right, these are their mobile friendly pages. What's it saying? Or these are just, looks like they're doing pretty good. There's nothing to report here. All valid, good to go. Finally, there's the rich snippets section. I don't use this much, and maybe I just need to learn more about it, but rich snippets. Okay, so you can see what's the status of their breadcrumbs, all good, because you can have breadcrumb trail be a rich snippet. Their logo, all good, probably on the home page, I would imagine. Let's see. Complete. Yeah, homepage. Why it's twice, I don't know, but that's okay. Products. This is where our clients come in because they're all e-commerce stores. So what's going wrong with the product pages? Well, I can tell you right now that offers, review, and aggregate rating will only be triggered if the product actually has reviews. So this is common to see this. Now, missing field name, I'm not sure about this one. This is kind of new. I didn't even know this. Maybe it's old too, first detected. So let's talk about this. Maybe this is old. I know we went in and aligned this for them. What you can do is you can click validate fix, and it alerts Google that you have fixed the issue, and they will come back and check to see if it's been resolved. We're now doing this when we fix catalog search pages, when we fix SEO issues. I'm coming in and I'm clicking this validate button. And David, if you've ever seen the emails that comes through where it says, we're validating fixes on your site, view the status, that's where this is coming from. Someone, either myself or the client, went in and clicked that validate button. Okay. And then you can see the details. So pending, pass, failed. So once you do your work, you can come back and validate. Can I do that for Core Web Vitals? Just out of curiosity. Because if so, the developers could potentially use this do work snapshot. Okay, is there a validate fix LCP? Yeah, there is. Okay, so that's going to be part of the process. So once our guys are done, there's with Core Web Vitals, and I'm sorry if I'm hanging out with Core Web Vitals, but we're talking about that a lot. And I feel that our company is getting to a point where a lot of groups are not. And we're finally figuring out the formula to make this all happen. So it's all my brain. But when we do make changes, we were going through with Screaming Frog and running Lighthouse scores. What we really need to do too is validate the fix and have Google immediately crawl and let us know, what needs to be fixed. I got to keep this in mind. But okay, finally on enhancements. If we go to review snippets, they're going to tell you, there's probably a lot of errors because they don't have a lot of reviews. Yeah. So site link search box. This is a feature sometimes pops up on search that allows you to, you ever go to a Google search for a business and they allow you to search their store right from the search results? Yeah. Little mini search box. That's what this is. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So finally, security and manual actions. If you ever see this, I have never gone into a Google Search Console report and seen a manual action. If you do, please be so concerned with that client. It might be a client you don't want to take on. I've never seen a situation where a manual penalty. So if you get a manual penalty, you were doing something so sketchy that Google said you no longer have your site on the web. To crawl out from under that is nearly impossible. Most people have to burn a domain and start over. So if I was an SEO consultant and I looked at their Search Console account and I saw that they have manual action, you are setting yourself up for the hugest pushing a rock up the hill contest you're ever going to be in, because it's just, I've never seen anybody come back. There are groups that specialize in penalty removals, but that you're going to pay 100, 200 grand. You might as well just start all over. So be careful if you ever see something in this section under manual actions.
That means like a like Google went in and went, we don't even want you on Google anymore, basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
over the course of time, sorry, David, were you gonna say something?
Oh, no, go on.
So over the course of time, Google has put out these huge algorithm updates. And back in the day, they used to name them after animals. There was the panda update, and that one was about links. There was the penguin update. Actually, panda was about content. Penguin was about links. There was all these different like updates. They hummingbird update, which was on mobile. So over time, they rolled out these big changes. And if you did not comply to the new changes from the algorithm, you got a manual penalty. So if you're doing your SEO right and you're doing your website right, you never get slammed by a manual penalty. If you haven't noticed, I'm a very white hat, and I will venture into the gray zone when it makes sense, but I will never recommend black hat tactics to a client. I'll never want to have a black hat SEO on the team. I've already had them on my teams, and all I do is spend my time arguing with them how they're just going to get us in trouble. And sure enough, they get us in trouble. So I actually have a recording, by the way, of the best black hat SEO I've ever met. He spent 45 minutes on a whiteboard explaining how he creates his link networks and blog networks. It's absolutely fascinating. I don't think he knew I was recording it, but yeah. So my point is, if you do follow things by the book, which in our world we really have to because the consequences are devastating, you're not going to ever worry about this. In fact, when an algorithm update comes out, you get happy because your site's going to increase because you're doing stuff the right way. Only people who do things sketchy are scared when Google algorithm updates come out.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you won't hear other people phrase it like this, but I'm just giving it to you for real. Like I would never say that in front of a conference or anything, but just, it's how it goes. But there's so many different ways to do this. And if you could have been on some of the interviews that we just did, you would see the different range of people that are out there and their different skill sets. We definitely interviewed a gentleman that I would not want to have on the team because I could tell by how he was describing things. He was very old school and used link manipulation techniques, link scheming techniques to build links. Can't have someone like that on the team. Can you imagine what would happen if that got out that Crimson was using sketchy, not only sketchy, but old school tactics to try to rank a site, knowing that they're not that's not good? Dude, that would destroy our reputation so quickly. And it's something that, we got to be concerned about. So I think I'm going to end this conversation with that. The legacy tools and reports, you can specify where you want to be shown internationally. Notice how it says it's not available for domain properties. Well, that's where I would go into their HTTPS. Canvasback was right there. HTTPS, they use www. Now you can come down here to legacy tools and reports and go to international targeting, and it'll work. It opens up the old search console, which is just the way it used to look. It's better now, but you can specify your country. So if you target people in the United States specifically, you want to check this. We have a lot of clients that are not United States bound. They sell nationwide, or worldwide. So in that case, you don't check this. Let's see, messages, whatever messages they send you. This is an old thing. Let's see here. Messages, URL parameters. Can't remember what this one's about. I don't even know. I could probably figure out what this is, but I don't use this. I don't even know. I'd have to really understand what this does. I don't even know. I do know that P is like catalog search. So that's the URL parameter for a search. I'm sure there's other ones. Cat, SID, limit order. Yeah, these are I guess, Graham, these would be like URL things that talk to Magento. Okay. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably the filters for the products. So limit number of products or number of price. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking, but I could be wrong. Okay. We don't really use this. Finally, web tools. What is in here? Not really using this. I just don't. Yeah, we're not. I don't really use this part. Links. You can look at your backlink profiles. You can take a look. There's a lot of tools that will let you analyze your backlink profile. SEMrush, we looked at that the other day. Google does tell you as well, and it does pay to spend time and export these links and look at them. If you're doing link building for a company, if you're at that point in the SEO process where you're doing link building, or I should say, this is where you'd want to spend some time to see what's already been linked, who's linking, is there any other opportunities to get more links? You know, it's a great place to start for that. And then finally, settings. So ownership, this is where you attach owners, or this is where you verify. This is where you add more permissions for other people. You can associate the property with Google Analytics and Google Search Console. If you do change your address to move to another site, you can do that. They do put this crawling report in settings, which has some really interesting things. I have found very, very deep technical issues with like Warner Tech Care by going in here. And really what I'm looking for, you want to see like most of them be OK 200. I go into some of our sites and half the time Google crawls their site, they're spinning their wheels on 404 pages or things that don't really provide any value. So this tells you what they're actually doing. So by response, 400, 404, and then by purpose. So refresh is good. That means they're coming back and crawling your content, where discovery means they're finding more. So what did they discover new this time? You know, you can find out on the last crawl. Okay, here's some new pages that they found or images. You know, this is probably the most technical part of this entire platform is what you can do in here. You know, you could stack the things together, or actually it's just dividing up, you know, total size and bytes. Where did they spend their time size wise? You know, like HTML, JavaScript, images. You look for things that are out of whack. Like I said, I've seen where refresh and discovery are 50-50. It's not right. I've seen where OK and 200 and 404 were 50-50. So can't have that. So you often want to look at this report to deep dive on any really, if you see that Google is not crawling all your pages and that they're constantly coming through and not making their way through the sitemap, you got to go through all this and see what they're doing, because that's the name of the game. Like really, this is about making sure that Google can find your content and crawl through it efficiently. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that can stop that from happening. All right, I'm going to be quiet a little bit. You got any questions on this or anything you'd like to bring up? I appreciate you listening.
No, I think at the moment it makes sense. It's just using the reports to figure out what's going on and hoping to improve it.
They also have their message center up here, which should also note that emails they sent are always housed in this little alert icon here. You can always see what the previous messages that were sent out, you know, what they are. Yeah, that's all I really have to show on this. Okay. So no questions then? Does this make sense? We'll obviously be doing more with this as time goes on. But
yeah, like as an overview, no, it all makes sense what you're doing, like what you're doing this for. So
and Graham, when we start a new client, like one that's fresh from the beginning, we'll do a group training session like this and go through the actual process of connecting this, configuring it, Magento, all that. We'll do like a real case study together.
Perfect. That'd be great.
Yeah. David, you got anything? Are you all good?
I'm all good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. That's all I got right now. And let me know if you need anything from me. Otherwise, this was a good session. We'll have more in the future.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. Thank you very